I think, yeah, it started a totally new session. My bad. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm gonna reshare this in the other one where everybody is online, still online. Damn, this was a bad idea. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. So do you have this one is the current one. Let me see. 45 minutes. I will leave a comment here with the new one. All right. So can you hear me, Roland?
Yeah, I hear you.
Let me move the live session to the other one and also email people. My apologies for this mistake. Um,
Okay,
did I
so
stop my screen
restart.
sharing? My screen is stopped, right? Yeah.
Your
Roland,
screen is
all
shared.
back to you. I'm going to turn off my microphone so that I can.
I can't hear you. Yes, you're muted. Okay. Quick question. Amal, should we wait for people, or how many have migrated to the new link? Amal? By the way, we can still see your screen, but not
Yes,
your video.
I can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you. I think let's wait for just a minute. I'm trying to move this live video to the other one.
Got it.
Where is this? Here. How many people? 12 people moved here. Let me see. Okay. So we have around, where can I see that? 15 people joining here. My apologies, guys. Um, Instead of stopping my screen sharing, I stopped the live stream. My bad. And therefore, Riverside cannot resume back to the same live stream URL. It generated a new live stream when I started the live stream. So I'm going to email this to everyone. Meanwhile, maybe you can already start, Roland. I will try to bring
Yes,
more
let
people on
me.
this call.
Right, let me share my screen. Okay, entire screen. Guys, you should be able to see my screen now, and I won't be able to see the chat anymore. I'll quickly try to open that on my iPhone. Okay, So Amal, if you can keep an eye on the chat, that'd be great.
I am. I just opened
Okay,
it.
cool.
It's pretty cool that you stay cool with so many interruptions.
Yes.
Yeah, true. We need to control our blood pressure.
All right. So as you can see, I'm in Cursor right now. On the right side and on the left side, I have the kind of like UI that I built in Cursor. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go all the way back and show you how to get to a UI like this. So here is that fix. So maybe not all the way back. Okay, let's go here. So I'm gonna reload this interface, and as you can see, this page cannot be found, but it still looks like we have a Next.js app. So that's like the basic template that everybody uses to build full stack apps. It's got a lot of stuff pre-configured, which makes it super easy for beginners to just like build something and then see what it results in. So right now you can see we have an error. So the kind of like day-to-day flow is I take a screenshot of the error, I put the screenshot into the chat interface in Cursor, and I tell it to fix it. I'm in agent mode, which means basically instead of just generating some code and asking me if it can do that, it'll go ahead and execute autonomously. So let's see what it does. Let's hit the git repository issue. Did I tell it to go ahead? We don't need this right now, so. And this is literally how I tell it what to do. I also use Whisperflow or like a transcriptor to talk to Cursor and tell it what to do. And all right, looks like it wants me to do this. So I'll just say run. Then it'll run that in the terminal. And now let's see if this works. It's taking a moment. Okay, this localhost was closed. Maybe it's added a new one. Not yet.
There's a question, Roland. Is a screenshot better than copying?
I think it's more convenient, and usually Cursor is smart enough to figure it out with a screenshot. So I always take screenshots, yes. Sometimes I also copy stuff, but I usually copy it when there's an error displayed in the terminal. Then you can just like add that into the chat with Command L. So that's easier. All right, so as you can see, it's restarted the npm dev environment, and we're still having the issue. So I'll literally take the same thing and say the same thing again, fix it. Sometimes it takes more than one try to fix something. But if I'm like stuck on an issue and I realize that I don't really make progress, then I look into it. Like first, I don't even look at it. I just tell Cursor to fix it. But now, okay, I'm seeing night eye disabled. Oops, this seems to be the issue. In the meantime, Cursor has already changed something, so the issue is gone, but the page is still not found. Oh, I can see the issue. Maybe we don't have the chat page anymore. So let's just try this. And here you see that basically solved it. So this is like something, maybe Emil, you can explain this even better than I can. My understanding is that we had several pages here, and I was on the chat endpoint. And since I reverted the file and went back to a previous version, it didn't exist anymore. So I have to open localhost 3000.
Yeah,
Anything
so
to
basically the Next.js route was removed and you're seeing a 404 error. Yeah.
Exactly. So now what I want to do is, and let me talk to cursor. Okay, what I want you to build is a chat app that kind of looks like ChatGPT. So you have this ChatGPT type interface, and eventually I want to build a deep research feature into this. So please use the OpenAI API key that I put into the .env.local file. I let it transcribe. And just to make sure that it finds the right file, I'm tagging the env.local. Oops, and I hope nobody in here can see the API key, because you're never supposed to share that publicly.
Quick question
Go
from
ahead.
me. Which transcriber are you using?
I'm using Whisper Flow.
Whisper Flow. Okay, I'm using Super
Yes,
Whispers. I was just curious to know what are you using.
yes. I'm not sure which one is better. Mine is free, never had to pay for it, and it's pretty fast, like low latency, so
Oh,
that's
nice.
useful.
No, I pay something like €8 or €9,
Oh wow,
$9 per month.
Super Whisper, it's probably the name. All right, now you can see a cursor has built from my voice command. It's built all of this. So we have a chat interface. I think it's a little bit too big. I would prefer it to be smaller. So I'm gonna tell it to do that in a minute, but let's just see if it works. Hello. Okay, it's thinking. Oh, how can I help you today? Okay, let's make sure that it didn't just hardcode that, but that it's actually OpenAI responding. What model are you? All right, so it seems to be OpenAI talking to me. Nice. So now what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot and I'll talk to a cursor. Okay, this doesn't look very pretty. The chat is kind of all over the window. I'd prefer to have maybe a sidebar on the left. And yeah, I think the colors are nice, but maybe put it all into dark mode. I like the kind of like dark, black, white, Next.js
Yeah.
type of style.
Quick questions coming to both of us from Florian. He
Okay.
says, what dev environment do you use in subscription package and tier, and what's kind of like your monthly expenditure on that? Mine, I just recently updated it to $80 because I'm a very AV user. I work like literally 10, 12 hours a day, and I mostly use Cursor. So my Sonnet package is something around $80 per month or $100. Besides that, Chat GPT and this was Super Whisper. So maybe all in all $300 or something. Roland, how
For
much
me,
do you?
so it has fluctuated recently. I subscribe to a bunch of the apps, Claude, Grok, and OpenAI. So that's like $60. I used to subscribe to OpenAI Pro, which was $200, but I canceled that. And then I think I have a bunch of other AI tools. Cursor is $40 per month. There's like some educational courses that I subscribe to. So I think I have like a budget of $100, $200. But I think the ROI on it, like the return on investment, is incredible. I think being able to build all of this stuff and do this is, I think, worth much, much more than what I pay for it.
Absolutely. Same perspective.
All right, so as you can see, I told it to change something. It added like a side panel, but it isn't really pretty. Like, why does it say hello here? Is that like the chat name? So I'm gonna tell it to change that and maybe add like a proper sidebar. First side, accept
Quick
all.
question, Roland. Do you also use
Yes.
arrows on your screenshot?
Arrows?
Like
What's that?
arrow, like sometimes I take a screenshot, put an arrow, like if I'm showing it
Mm-hmm.
to a human, and then I say
Mm-hmm.
like, look at that on the screenshot with the red arrow pointing to
The
it.
no, no. Oh, I see what you mean. Like I added the screenshot. No, I actually don't do it. I just put it in and expect it to know it because I'm that lazy. Maybe I should. All right. So I'm not really happy with the sidebar on the left. Please make it prettier. Make like a proper sidebar. There should be like a chat window. There should be a deep research window. Maybe like a history window. And you know what? Just also put like a billing and settings window into the sidebar. And don't make it very big, the sidebar. It should leave enough room for the chat window. All right. So let's see what it does. So I think one thing that's really cool about Cursor is it's showing you what files it's editing. So right now it's editing page.tsx. You can see it's in the source folder in app. And what I really like about that, or how that kind of helped me learn stuff, is if you haven't built an app before, you know, like what files do you need to build an app? This is like a question that I had. And when I can just observe Cursor, edit code, and like put code into the files, then I learn, you know, where I have to make changes, what files I have to edit myself. So yeah, I think it's really cool to be able to oversee Cursor as it's working. All right, seems like it's finished its edit. And as you can see, we have several panels on the left now: chat, deep research, history, billing settings, but none of them really respond, or like it doesn't, you don't get routed to a different page. So for now, let's keep focusing on this chat page. So let's think of a cool use case. Does anybody in the chat have something that they want to research? Feel free to make a comment in the chat. I'll try to include that in this example. If not, well, what I'll do is I'll go to the YC directory. I'll literally copy the entire page. So this is the latest batch of the Spring startups.
Is it paginated or it's all of them?
No, it's not all of them. It's only like 30.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do here is I've created an internet.markdown file where I did this before, so I'm going to delete it. And I'll paste all of this information into here and save the file. And with this, I kind of want to simulate online research. So I took one web page, put it into here. And what I want to do now is I want this chatbot to talk to me about the information which it can find in this file. So I'll go back into my chat window and I'll tell it, all right, so I just took some information off of the YC startup directory page, and I put all of that information into the internet.markdown file, internet.md. And what I want you to do is I want you to somehow give my LLM access to this information, and I want it to be able to answer to my questions about these companies. So don't hard code this, don't hard code the search, just put this into the prompt or whatever so that I can interact with this information. Okay, it's a little bit of a messy prompt, internet.markdown, but let's go ahead.
Meanwhile, it's generating. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you have a go-to scraper? Mine is firecrawl.dev.
So I've used different scrapers. I think my go-to scraper, I have to give a shout out to my friends from ScrapeGraph AI here. They kind of have I would call it an LLM native scraper. It's an open source GitHub repo, 15,000 stars, and they even have an MCP server. So you can literally, I could integrate this right here. In like
maybe
2
you
minutes.
can open their website just to kind of give them credit.
Yes, ScrapeGraph AI. Oops. So I don't know if they have a website. They have a GitHub repo.
Yeah.
But yes, almost 20,000 stars now. They have like a lot of like explanation about the nodes and the edges that they use and the graphs and how it all works together and what's the easiest way to scrape with LLMs. And they also have an MCP server. So yeah, that's my favorite one.
Wonderful.
I have also used Selenium and a couple of others, but this one was the one I stuck to. What about you?
I use firecrawl.dev. They're
Makes
really
sense.
good.
All right, so this has finished its most recent task, and let's see what happened. So I told it to access this YC startup information. So let's test it. Can we talk about the most recent YC batch? Oops. All right, is it stuck? It seems to be stuck. So I'll take a screenshot. Oops. Oh, just generated a long response. Okay, so there you
So
can
the
see all
response
of
is
the.
actually in Markdown as well. If you ask it to kind of like preview it as Markdown, then it will be cleaned up.
Oh, okay.
Just prompt it like this: that can you please wrap the entire response balloons in Markdown viewer or something. There's a nice component called Markdown, React Markdown or something.
Mm-hmm.
It will clean it up like that.
All right, so I told it what Emil said and gave it a screenshot of how it's currently looking. So let's see if agent mode can fix that. Has anybody from the chat mentioned what they would like to research? Any requests?
Not yet. The name right in this is free.
Is there anything you'd
There
be
is one
curious about?
question from Yevgen about Super Whisper, the tool I was using. It's not free, unfortunately. I'm paying like €8 or $8.50 or something. But Roland is using another one. It's free. Can you, Roland, one more time mention that? Or
Let me
maybe
quickly pull it up. Whisper Flow. This is my
Whisper
tool.
Flow. I'm gonna
This is
leave the
what it
link
looks
here.
like.
Yeah.
You can there's somehow like a pro version, but I'm on coasting on the free tier since a
Ah,
year.
I see. Okay. Same is the
Yeah.
case with Super Flow, Super Whisper. It also has like a
Nice.
free tier, but then I have so Rudra has a question.
Mhm.
I have a question regarding the framework. Did you mention that tech stack before, or how did you go around with it?
Yes, good question. So my entire stack is I'm building this app in TypeScript. Um, it's a Next.js app, so you can literally just tell Cursor build a Next.js app, and it's kind of a like an existing framework which you can use to rapidly build apps. I'm using Cursor for my AI native IDE. I'm using Arc as a browser, and our Arc is Chrome based, by the way. And what else? Whisperflow for voice transcription. That's the entire stack that I'm using for this project. Oh, and the LLMs. I'm probably so it's in auto mode, so Cursor kind of decides which LLMs to use. But I have an OpenAI API key, which I put into this project in env.local, which I got from the from platform.openai.com. That's the stack. Usually for databases, I would use Supabase. For vector databases, I've used Pinecone before. It's like an extension, so that you can keep working in Supabase. Drizzle ORM, OpenAI as an embedding model, and so on. But yeah, we won't use this for this demo. But this is what I would add if I built longer on this. So let's do it again. But actually, let me talk to it. Hey, can you tell me anything about the most recent YC batch? Yeah, this isn't really what I meant, but
I think LLMs are smart enough to
yes,
understand
they
those
are.
small typos. Yeah.
All right, it's taking a lot of
If
time.
typing is called typos, voice dictations might be called vypos.
Yeah, Vibo, yeah. Oh, okay. So this looks a little bit better. Actually, let me check something. I want to know which model we're using right now. So Oh, interesting. It's using Turbo Preview, which is like a super outdated model. But I didn't specify that, so I'll change that to 404 mini. So what I just did here is I searched the entire code base for GPT because I kind of knew that the model gets specified, and I want to use like the fastest, cheapest model, which is kind of good. We can also use one of the newer ones, although I'm not sure if I have access yet through the API. For example, use GPT 4.1. Let's see if that works. Is that a thing? Ah, 4.1 mini. Let's try that. And see if it
Meanwhile,
works.
that's running. There are a few questions coming in the chat.
Go ahead.
Rudra said like he was wondering if this is Vue because the folder structure looks cleaner. Well, actually, Next is becoming really good, like Next 15 especially. Any comments on that?
You
The
mean for my
folder
side?
structure? Yeah, the folder structure of Next.js.
Phew,
Or I mean, comparing to
no
Angular
clue.
and Vue.
I haven't used Vue. I haven't used Angular. Maybe the chat has.
I
I've used.
did use both Angular and Vue before. I get your point, Rudra, that they have, because they're really opinionated frameworks, their folder structures are clean, but Next.js is very, very good in that sense as well, like especially with the file routing and so on. Another question from Yevgen. We both are using, Roland and I are using Arc. Any specific reasons for this? My reason is that it's a much better browser, especially from user experience. I don't see the top bar. The shortcut keys are easy to navigate back and forth. I like it, but the support is not very well, especially like with this web speech API that you guys saw when I was vibe coding. It didn't support it, but I think it's getting there, and it has small bugs. It will be fixed over time, but the user experience is really good. As a developer, I like it. Roland, why do you use Vibe? I mean, what are your takeaways from using Arc as a browser?
I really like it because it has this side panel. It's more useful than Chrome to me because it's more kind of more structured. It's not as much of a mess. And I think using Chrome or something Chrome based makes a lot of sense because you have the most extensions and it's very developer friendly.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm just gonna do one more step, and I think then I'm gonna wrap up my vibe coding session. So I want to go a little bit crazy and test the boundaries of what Cursor can do. Usually I only try to give it one task at a time, but now I'll give it a rather complex prompt and tell it to do it. So I'm gonna switch to the best, not max model, because that's gonna be maybe too expensive. I've seen people spend $1,000 per day. But I'm going to use Sonnet 3.7 with thinking. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to add some cool deep research features.
Can we quickly take a small break here and explain that what you've done? Like you changed the model. Okay. That is a very interesting part. Maybe a lot of people would like to know that.
Okay, so let me go back. Previously here, I was in agent mode auto, and auto, this kind of button lets you pick the model which Cursor is using to process my request, generate code, and do function calling, tool calling, kind of everything that it does. So there are a bunch of different models that you can choose from in Cursor. Actually, all of them are listed in here. It's really a generous list. I only use 5 or 6 of them. So basically like the latest and best models. And in practice, although I usually stick to Claude Sonnet because that works best in Cursor. And what you can do here is choose which models you want to use for this specific request. And because I want to test the boundary of it, I want to take the model which I think performs the best, but not max because that's too expensive. And the best one is Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Although Gemini is also getting better, but has some issues with function calling. And thinking basically lets it run more inference, which means it generates more tokens and usually gets to a better response, which means it hallucinates less and has probably a higher success rate, but it also runs or burns through more tokens. So I only use it if I experience issues or I think I have to supercharge it. Give it like an extra 5 IQ points or something. All right, now actually to my prompt. So I said, okay, so let's add some deep research features to this. Make the LLM run in a loop, maximum 10 calls, because I don't want to get charged a lot, and have multiple agents that interact with each other. So what do I mean by that? Let me quickly think, maybe reason. All right, so what I mean by that is I want the deep research or this entire app to have kind of multiple agents that work with each other. So one agent should take the user request and kind of rephrase it in a better way, and then pass that request onto the search agent. The search agent should then access our database, in this case, our internet.markdown file, and kind of like retrieve the information and pass it on to a response generation agent. The response generation agent should then create a message, which is the response for the user. All right, so this is like a not too complex agent architecture. Let's just see if it can do it. And actually, let me stop this and just tell it also add UI components which show which of the agents is currently working while the workflow is executing. So I'm pretty sure that this prompt will be a little bit too complex and it'll fail. But if not, I think we have a really cool feature.
This is interesting. Like, I'm curious to see the outcome. Like, we're like with one prompt trying to build a framework and AI agent, a multi-AI agent development framework.
Yeah, this is for sure. This is too much, and but let's see. By the way, usually what I would do is I would basically take this command and put it into the Claude app and tell Claude, like, generate 5 prompts out of this and like structure it well and so on. And I'll tell it like generate good prompts for cursor. And then I'll take those prompts, copy and paste them into here and run those prompts. That's a much higher success rate.
Absolutely.
But in the interest of time and like stretching the boundaries here, let's see what it does. Okay, so it
you can take another 5-10 minutes. It's okay if we run a little bit late, because we started late, so it's okay. Don't feel the pressure of time. But what you just said, Roland, I absolutely agree with that. I usually do a lot of brainstorming on one LLM, clean up the brainstorming outcome, bring it into another LLM instead of like brainstorming and generating code with the same LLM.
Yes.
Because then you can get a better idea. I mean, a better output.
Yes. So what it's doing right now, agent mode, is it's fixing issues that it's detecting itself. Can actually probably detect them because they're displayed in the console here. So let's just give it time. We can also look at the edits.
Tony is asking a question. How do you keep track of your prompts for future use cases?
Good question. I would say I don't keep track of them. You're probably referring to, is there like a prompt that I've figured out which works super well? Yes, in some cases there are, but I usually let the LLM generate the prompt. So I just trust the LLM to be able to generate the prompt again. But I also have like a system prompt in Cursor, which I've copied from other people who've kind of identified that this works.
My 2 cents about that is that when you're not sure if your prompt is too big or too small, then go in ChatGPT or any other LLM and prompt it in a way that you say, hey, generate a prompt for an LLM and then blah, 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 blah. and then it generates it for an LLM, and then you copy paste that same concept which we spoke about like 20 seconds ago.
So by the way, this is what it has produced. So in the deep research page or panel, there are now kind of like 3 icons displayed, not perfectly aligned, but like nothing is happening. So it's not really connected to the LLM in here. Probably still have to interact with the chat. Let's see, batch. And none of this gets stored in a database, so if I go back here, probably the information is lost. But you can kind of see the point. Okay, this is not getting displayed here. It's just not. I can actually try to fix it and tell it. Okay. Okay, so the deep research page isn't really responding. Make it respond, integrate, I don't know, the chat interface into it. I want it to work. Specifically, what you should do is have the search button in the deep research page trigger the agentic workflow. So the LLMs should start working once I input something there. And I also want the output to get displayed in that window. So this is, I think what I'm doing right now is called vibe debugging, where I run into issues and I try to debug them. And
Yes,
this
this is.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I've done this before, vibe debugging. I think vibe debugging is super difficult. So if I build much more onto this project and I run into issues, at some point I can't fix it anymore. So if you're trying to build something robust, I think you should do a much better job at prompting and thinking it through and laying out the architecture, actually like designing it in, I don't know, a Mermaid or Figma or something. Because otherwise I think at some point I haven't been able to fix some issues. Yeah. What about you, Emma?
I think at some point in time it's more cost efficient to throw away what you've built and then rebuild it from the scratch. Not from the scratch, but from the last commit, from your last git commit. It's much cleaner to do it like that. At a certain point, you may have forgot to build it, like commit it. And another solution that I use that could work is you create another Git branch, just leave it there, start again from the one commit before, and then something will work there, and then you need to cherry pick. It's a little bit advanced concept on Git, but this course that I'm working on will cover those concepts.
Are you still there, Emma?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, I just, yes, the audio just cut out, but I think it's my
Yeah,
AirPods.
I thought maybe.
Okay. Yeah, so by the way, I think the bug which I just tried to fix was actually not a bug, it was just long latency.
I see. Oh, there you go.
No way. This actually works.
Worked. That is amazing.
Okay, so just to explain this real quick, I kind of gave it a bad prompt, right? So I gave deep research a bad prompt. Hey, what about the most recent YC batch? It's not a specific question.
Exactly.
So
what about
agent,
it?
Yes. So the first agent took that prompt and rephrased it into what are the details of the latest Y Combinator batch.
Ah, nice.
The data searcher then went into the
internet.md file.
Internet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. This file right here with the 270 lines of information, which I copied from the YC webpage. And the response generator then took that information and didn't do much to it, honestly. But I really like
perhaps
this
it was
UI.
clean enough, it was clean enough, therefore it didn't do much to it, yeah?
True. No, actually, you can see it added some more phrases at the beginning to it.
Exactly.
So it kind of like enriched it, and maybe also, didn't change anything on these parts. But yeah, it did what it was supposed to do, and it gave me the research results. And I think this is like a cool, I'm positively surprised that Cursor has been able to build this.
And especially you did it under recording, under live session, and it's already by itself an intense situation. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, if okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Like probably the next things which I would add is like a like a toggle so that I can deflate this. So I have the full overview. This would be like the
Collapse,
next UI
expand and
component. Yes,
collapse.
collapse. Exactly. Expand and collapse. And then I would probably go into like connect it to a real database, give it access to the actual internet, um, enable the history feature, and
Uh,
stuff like that.
the actual internet, you mean using the search feature of ChatGPT or Perplexity?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably use Exa AI,
XA, yeah.
which is yes, but maybe you can also use ChatGPT's search feature, although I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you can as a
Yes,
developer.
this morning I did for this
Oh, no
example that I
way.
was giving. I used search, but it's in preview, so I'm not
Oh
sure how
yeah,
good is it. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, that's a recent, probably it's only
it is
been
recent. Yeah.
recently released with the API. But yeah, are there any questions about my workflow? Any feedback? Is this impressive? Do you find it super boring? I'd be curious to hear.
So let me see the chat window. We do not have any new questions coming in. There was one from Florian, which is around the responsibility of the employer to pick the right models or employees. Um,
Um, mhm.
Good
I
question.
am not sure I understand the question.
The
Employer,
question I think
yeah.
is in this direction. If there's an organization, in the organization wants to. When we were talking about which model we want to use, that question arrived.
Mm,
Um, is the employer responsible for kind of like observing which model should the employees use, or is it employees? And since it has a cost attached to it,
mhm.
so should we continuously tell our bosses to start using this model or that model? That was probably the background of the question.
I see. So I can tell you what I did for my freelance projects. So I'm the expert on this kind of development, not my employer. So it's my responsibility to pick the model. And I kind of like decide on the cost benefit trade-off. To be honest, like these models aren't so expensive. So I maybe spend like if I'm only spending $100 on AI tools per month, then in the great scheme of things, if I get my work done faster and better, it's a worthwhile investment. But yeah, I don't think like if I build like $1,000 worth of AI expenses on a freelance project, I think that would raise some eyebrows unless I delivered much more. Does that answer the question? And how do you see
I
it,
think
Amal?
so, yeah. A few more points coming. Yevgen mentioned that there could be some other steps to get the product to production. Yes, that's
Mm-hmm.
right. In this course that I'm going to produce, Yevgen, I'm taking care of like 360 degrees, like literally from what is a terminal with cursor to vibe coding an actual application to deploying it on cloud services and even going the extra mile because I have been outsourcing on Upwork for 17 years or so. And even I'll go the extra mile to teach you how to find the best resource, best web developer from Upwork to hire and give this prototype that you built to that Upwork developer, and I hope that will help to go the extra mile. Um,
Nice. Yeah, I can
you,
just say
Ru-
I can highly recommend courses to learn this stuff. I believe
Mhm.
that today you can probably go from zero to full stack AI junior AI engineer in 2 months. You literally don't need more than 2 months to learn these tools.
Mhm.
Took me probably like 6 months to learn them because I didn't have a course and it wasn't very structured. I just trialed and errored. But yeah, if this is something that looks fun to you, I think 2 months of learning this full time is all you need. And probably like having
Mhm.
the wireframe of a course is the best way to learn fast.
So there's another question coming from Quick Tongue Dang. It's about GDPR. How do you handle GDPR in case of business usage? I think it's more of a legal question. I'm super cautious about GDPR and EU AI Act, especially EU AI Act compliant stuff that I'm building. Um, to be honest, it's a question that if you're working in an organization, it's the legal team that should take care of that, and you as a developer or a vibe coder need to make sure that you're building EU AI Act compliant stuff. Um, I talk about EU AI Act a lot in my workshops. If you have any specific question in that GDPR related thing, please leave another message. But it's a legal team thing.
Devibing. I'm
Julian,
just reading the chat. Devibing is a funny term.
devibing. Yeah. It was when actually we talked about like
Yeah.
vibe debugging. So that
Yeah.
was the moment when that came. And Julian is saying, great example, feedback, more time precise. Yeah, about the commands. And exactly, Julian, the course that I'm working on will have a lot of Git commands and creating branches and so on. So I will consider that. Obviously, for first timers, it's overwhelming. I'll touch a little bit on the UI, like how do you use GitHub, kind of like the GUI instead of like writing code on terminal. So it's easier for you to do git push and git pull and so on.
Yes, by the way, this was the exact experience which was very frustrating for me 1 year ago. I
Mm-hmm.
think you can really get overwhelmed with a lot of the things, and I still don't know how to use like some things, and I'm like not robust at using GitHub. Like I make mistakes all the time, or just like Git in the terminal. Um, I think it's really good if you just learn step by step. Um, and like you not try to learn everything at once, but just try to build an app. I think one of the easiest ways to start going is like using something like Lovable or Bolt.new. It's even easier than Cursor because they already integrate like a database like Supabase.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, if you do it with Cursor, you actually have to go on the website of Supabase, like find the correct URLs and like API keys and so on. And I actually learned it by going through a course, and without that, it would have been super annoying, I think. But you can also watch YouTube tutorials, whatever works for you. But I think the trend is definitely we're getting more and more apps where everything is integrated, and this will only
Exactly.
become easier.
Exactly. I would just echo that. If you were just starting, go with Lovable. But I have done a YouTube video recently on my YouTube channel putting Lovable and Cursor on a contest. Cursor won. Obviously, Cursor is way much better than Lovable. Um, there are a lot of reasons why Cursor is better. I don't want to kind of get into details of that right now. But this course, the main purpose of this session was to kind of open a small community for building this course that I'm building. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Drop me a message with all the questions you want me to cover in this course, in this Vibe Coding 101. And um, we had an amazing session. Thank you so much, Roland, for joining as a guest speaker here on this regular. Hopefully, we'll do a regular one. And thank you, everyone. See you guys next
Thanks for
time.
organizing, Email. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.